The sound of metal on metal echoed through the Austin neighborhood as 14-year-old Tommy Martinez worked furiously on yet another damaged bicycle. His makeshift repair shop, really just his family's small garage with tools borrowed from neighbors, was already full of bikes waiting for his magic touch. His hands, too young to be so calloused, moved with practiced precision as he replaced a worn chain. A stack of medical bills sat on his workbench, the numbers growing faster than his modest earnings could match. But Tommy kept working, driven by a promise he'd made to his mom in the hospital. "I'll find a way." That's when a shadow fell across his workspace, and a familiar voice asked, "Tid, how much for a tune-up?" Joe Rogan stood in the garage doorway, holding the handlebar of a high-end mountain bike. But it wasn't the bike that caught his attention. It was the determined look in the young mechanic's eyes, and the hospital paperwork partially hidden under a greasy rag. What happened next would change not just one family's fate, but an entire community's approach to healthcare and youth entrepreneurship. Before we continue, if you enjoy stories about young heroes making a difference and the power of community support, make sure to click that subscribe button. This is the best way for you to support our work. Thank you very much, and let's continue. Tommy's world had turned upside down 3 months ago when his mother, Maria, collapsed during her shift at the local diner. The diagnosis was devastating: a rare heart condition requiring immediate surgery and ongoing treatment. The family's insurance covered only a fraction of the costs, leaving them drowning in medical debt. Rather than give up, Tommy had turned to the one thing he knew best: fixing bikes. It had started as a hobby, learning from YouTube videos and practicing on abandoned bicycles he'd find around the neighborhood. Now it was his family's lifeline. Every day after school, he'd work until his fingers ached, charging fair prices and building a reputation for quality repairs. The local kids called him the Bike Whisperer, but few knew the real reason behind his dedication. Joe Rogan had been riding through the neighborhood, taking a different route to his studio that morning, when he noticed the steady stream of people wheeling bikes into the modest garage. Curiosity got the better of him, and what he discovered would spark something extraordinary. $20 for a basic tune-up, sir?" Tommy answered, trying to keep his voice steady despite recognizing the podcast legend standing in his garage. "But your bike looks like it needs a new derailleur too. That'll be another 40 for parts and labor." Joe studied the young mechanic's workspace, or tools meticulously organized, a notebook filled with detailed repair notes, and a price list that was almost apologetically reasonable. But it was the hospital bills that caught his eye. The words "urgent notice" visible even through the smudged rag attempting to hide them. "How many bikes do you fix in a week?" Joe asked, his tone casual but his eyes sharp with interest. "About 15 to 20 if I can get the parts," Tommy replied, his hands never stopping their work on the current repair. "More if I don't have to do homework. But Mom made me promise to keep my grades up, even from her hospital bed." His voice cracked slightly on the last words. Joe pulled up a worn stool and sat down, his presence filling the small garage. "Tell me about your mom, Tid." The story poured out of Tommy, about Maria's collapse, the complicated surgery, the mounting bills, and his desperate attempt to help the only way he knew how. As he talked, his hands kept moving, muscle memory guiding them through the familiar motions of bike repair. "You know what impresses me most?" Joe said, after Tommy finished speaking. "Not just your skill with bikes, which is remarkable. It's your approach to solving a problem that would make most adults give up. You found a way to help using what you knew, and you're doing it with integrity." Pulling out his phone, Joe made a call that would transform everything. "Young Jamie, clear my schedule for the next hour, and get me Dr. Peterson on the line. You know, the cardiologist who was on the podcast last month? Yeah, we've got something important here." What unfolded over the next few hours would become the talk of Austin's cycling community. Joe didn't just pay for Tommy's current inventory of parts. He made connections that would turn the young mechanic's garage operation into something extraordinary. First came the medical support. Dr. Peterson, after hearing Maria's case, arranged to take over her care, bringing with him a team of specialists who worked with the hospital to drastically reduce the family's medical costs. But Joe knew that solving the immediate crisis wasn't enough. This was an opportunity to create lasting change. Here's what people don't understand about success. Joe explained to his podcast listeners the next day, recounting Tommy's story. It's not just about hard work or skill, though this kid has both in spades. It's about community. It's about recognizing potential and helping it grow. The Wheels of Change program grew from that simple insight. Joe used his platform to connect Tommy with professional bike mechanics who could mentor him, while also highlighting the broader issue of families struggling with medical debt. Local businesses, inspired by Tommy's determination, began offering matching funds for his repair services, effectively doubling the money he could put toward his mother's bills. But the impact spread beyond just one family. The story caught the attention of cycling enthusiasts across Texas, and soon Tommy's garage became a hub for a much larger movement. Professional cyclists began bringing their bikes in, not because they needed repairs, but because they wanted to support the cause and mentor a promising young mechanic. Maria's recovery was gradual but steady. From her hospital bed, she watched in amazement as her son's small bike repair business transformed into a community phenomenon. "I always knew Tommy was special," she said during one of Joe's podcast episodes featuring their story. "But what amazes me is how one person's kindness could create such a ripple effect." The initiative evolved in unexpected ways. Local schools began sending students to Tommy's garage for vocational training. A scholarship fund was established for young entrepreneurs facing family medical crises. Joe made sure the story stayed in the public eye, but always kept the focus on the community's response rather than his own role. "You want to know what real innovation looks like?" Joe would ask his guests. "It's not always about high-tech solutions or massive investments. Sometimes it's about a kid in a garage who refuses to give up, and a community that recognizes the power of that determination." Tommy's skills grew alongside his operation. Under the mentorship of professional mechanics, he became certified in advanced bicycle repair and maintenance. The garage transformed into a proper shop, though Tommy insisted on keeping some of his original handmade signs as a reminder of where it all started. The impact on the community continued to grow. Other young people, inspired by Tommy's story, began looking for ways to use their own skills to help their families and neighbors. The Wheels of Change program expanded to include mentorship opportunities in various trades, always maintaining the connection between youth entrepreneurship and community support. Joe regularly featured updates about Tommy and the program on his podcast, but he always emphasized the broader message. "This isn't just about fixing bikes," he would explain. "It's about fixing the way we think about community, about youth's potential, about how we handle crises." One kid with a wrench showed us all a better way forward. Maria's recovery, supported by the best medical care and freed from the crushing weight of medical debt, became a testament to what community action could achieve. Once she was well enough, she became an advocate for healthcare reform, sharing her story to help other families facing similar challenges. The garage where it all started became something of a local landmark. People would bring their bikes from all over Texas, not just for repairs, but to be part of something special. Tommy never raised his prices, maintaining his commitment to fair and accessible service, but the community found other ways to support his work. Local businesses, inspired by Joe's initial involvement, created a network of support for families facing medical crises. The model that began with bike repairs expanded to include other skills and services, always centered on the idea that young people could be part of the solution to their family's challenges. As Tommy prepared for college with a full scholarship to study mechanical engineering, he reflected on the journey during one of his regular appearances on Joe's podcast. "I just wanted to help my mom," he said, his voice strong and confident now. "I never imagined it would turn into all this. But that's what happens when someone believes in you and gives you a chance to prove what you can do." Joe, listening to Tommy speak, smiled at how far the young mechanic had come. "You know what I learned from all this?" he asked his millions of listeners. "When you see someone fighting against impossible odds with everything they've got, the most powerful thing you can do is not just help them win that fight, but help them show others how to win their own battles too." The story of the boy who fixed bikes to save his mother became more than just an inspiring tale. It became a blueprint for community action, a testament to youth potential, and a reminder that sometimes the most powerful changes start with the simplest acts of determination and kindness. The program's growth brought new challenges and opportunities. Major bicycle manufacturers, hearing about Tommy's story through Joe's podcast, began donating parts and equipment. What started as a trickle of support turned into a steady stream of resources. But Tommy never lost sight of his mission. He made sure that every donation helped keep his repair prices affordable for the local community that had supported him from the start. You know what's beautiful about this? Joe would say during his podcast discussions, "We're not just teaching kids how to fix bikes. We're teaching them how to fix problems, how to build community, how to turn skills into solutions." Tommy didn't just create a bike shop. He created a model for youth empowerment. The impact on Austin's cycling community was profound. Local cycling clubs began organizing monthly rides that ended at Tommy's shop, bringing together cyclists from all walks of life. These gatherings evolved into community events where experienced riders would share safety tips, maintenance advice, and stories of their own journeys through adversity. Maria's recovery became a source of inspiration for other families facing similar challenges. Once she regained her strength, she started volunteering at the shop, handling the administrative work that Tommy had struggled to manage while balancing repairs, school, and his growing role as a community leader. Her presence added another layer to the shop's warm, family atmosphere. "I used to worry about Tommy growing up too fast," Maria shared during one of her appearances on Joe's podcast. "But watching him turn our crisis into an opportunity to help others, it showed me that sometimes our children can be our greatest teachers." The educational component of the program expanded significantly. Local schools began incorporating bicycle maintenance into their technical education programs, with Tommy's shop serving as a hands-on learning laboratory. Students would spend afternoons learning not just about bike repair, but about business management, customer service, and community engagement. Joe made sure to document these developments, dedicating regular segments of his podcast to updating listeners on the program's progress. "You want to know what real education looks like?" he would ask his guests. "It's not just about textbooks and tests. It's about giving kids real problems to solve and watching them figure out solutions we never even thought of." The initiative's success caught the attention of healthcare advocates and policymakers. Tommy and Maria were invited to speak at conferences about community-based solutions to medical debt. Their story helped inspire new programs connecting youth entrepreneurship with healthcare support, creating pathways for other families facing similar challenges. Tommy's original notebook, filled with careful repair notes and calculations of how many bikes he needed to fix to meet each medical payment, became a powerful symbol of youth determination. Joe had it framed and hung in the shop, alongside photos documenting the program's growth from a cramped garage to a thriving community center. The scholarship fund established in Tommy's name grew beyond supporting just young entrepreneurs facing medical crises. It expanded to help students pursuing vocational training in any field, with a special focus on those who demonstrated the same spirit of community service that had characterized Tommy's journey. As the program approached its 5th anniversary, Joe organized a special podcast episode featuring success stories from Wheels of Change participants across the country. Young people who had started their own community repair shops shared how Tommy's example had inspired them to find innovative solutions to their own family's challenges. The original garage, now transformed into a state-of-the-art repair facility, maintained its heart and soul. Tommy insisted on keeping his first workbench, marked with years of scratches and stains, as a reminder of where it all began. New apprentices would start their training at that same bench, learning not just repair techniques, but the values that had built the program. Today, the Wheels of Change program operates in cities across America, each location adapting Tommy's model to their community's needs. But in that original garage in Austin, now expanded but still maintaining its humble character, you can still find Tommy on weekends, teaching new generations of young mechanics, sharing not just his technical knowledge, but the more important lesson he learned: that no problem is too big when a community comes together to solve it. The ripple effects of that chance encounter between a determined young mechanic and a podcast legend continue to spread. Each new bike repaired, each new student trained, each family helped through a crisis adds another chapter to a story that began with a simple question. "Tid, how much for a tune-up?" Joe Rogan continues to champion the program, using his platform to highlight how individual determination combined with community support can create lasting change. You know what the real miracle is? He often reflects. It's not just that we helped one kid save his mom. It's that by doing so, we discovered a whole new way of thinking about how communities can solve problems together. The story of Tommy Martinez, the boy who fixed bikes to save his mother, has become more than just an inspiring tale. It's become a blueprint for hope, a testament to the power of youth initiative, and a reminder that sometimes the most meaningful changes start with the simplest acts of courage and determination. The initiative's success has sparked a broader conversation about youth entrepreneurship and community support systems. Universities began studying what they called the Martinez Method, analyzing how young people's natural problem-solving abilities could be harnessed to address community challenges. Business schools added case studies about the Wheels of Change program to their curricula, focusing on how organic community growth could outperform traditional top-down charity models. Tommy's approach to pricing and community service became particularly noteworthy, despite opportunities to significantly increase his rates as his reputation grew. He maintained a tiered pricing system that ensured everyone in the community could afford basic repairs. Those who could afford to pay more often did, understanding that their premium rates helped subsidize repairs for families in need. What Tommy figured out, Joe would explain to his podcast guests, is that true success isn't just about making money. It's about building a sustainable system that helps everyone move forward together. He created a business model that proves you can do well by doing good. The program's impact on youth mental health became another unexpected benefit. Teachers reported that students involved in the bike repair program showed improved self-esteem, better problem-solving skills, and increased engagement in their other studies. The physical and mental benefits of cycling, combined with the satisfaction of learning practical skills, created a comprehensive approach to youth development. Maria's role in the program's evolution cannot be understated. As she recovered, she began organizing support groups for other families facing medical crises, using the shop as a meeting space after hours. These gatherings became a crucial resource for families struggling to navigate the healthcare system, offering both practical advice and emotional support. When I was in the hospital, Maria would often say, I felt so alone. Now, part of our mission is making sure no other family has to face these challenges in isolation. We're not just fixing bikes. We're fixing the gaps in our community support system. The program's 5th anniversary celebration became a watershed moment. Joe organized a special live podcast from the shop, featuring Tommy, Maria, and several young entrepreneurs who had started similar programs in their own communities. The event drew thousands, temporarily transforming the neighborhood into a festival of cycling, community service, and youth empowerment. During the celebration, Tommy unveiled the program's next phase, a mobile repair unit that would bring tools and training to underserved neighborhoods. The idea had come from his early days of collecting abandoned bikes from around the community, but now it would serve a broader purpose, bringing opportunities for learning and earning directly to young people who couldn't make it to the shop. You know what makes this program special? Joe asked during the anniversary broadcast. It keeps evolving, but it never loses its heart. Every new initiative goes back to Tommy's original mission, using simple skills to help solve complex problems. The mobile unit, dubbed the rolling classroom, became another game changer. Equipped with tools, spare parts, and experienced instructors, it traveled to schools, community centers, and housing developments across Austin. The program's reach expanded exponentially, creating new opportunities for youth engagement and community building. Professional cyclists began planning their training schedules around opportunities to mentor at the shop. Olympic medalists and Tour de France veterans would spend time working alongside young apprentices, sharing not just technical knowledge but life lessons about perseverance, goal setting, and the importance of giving back to the community. The shop's atmosphere on these days was electric. Young mechanics would work side by side with their cycling heroes, learning advanced techniques while sharing their own innovations. Joe would often drop by during these sessions, his podcast capturing the unique energy of young people teaching their idols new tricks, while absorbing decades of professional experience. The program's impact on families facing medical crises evolved as well. Through partnerships with healthcare providers and advocacy groups, Wheels of Change began offering comprehensive support services, Families could access medical bill review assistance, connection to clinical trials, and help navigating insurance appeals. All while their children learn valuable skills in the shop. Tommy's original notebook, with its careful calculations and repair notes, was digitized and turned into a teaching curriculum. The Martinez method of bike repair, characterized by its systematic approach and attention to detail, became standard training in technical schools across the country. But more importantly, the notebook's underlying message, that determination and creativity could overcome seemingly insurmountable obstacles, inspired countless young people to find their own ways to make a difference. As the program continues to grow, its core principles remain unchanged. Every person has value, every skill can be useful, and every community has the power to solve its own challenges when people work together. The story that began with a kid fixing bikes in his garage has transformed into a movement, proving that sometimes the most powerful solutions come from the most unexpected places. Looking back, Tommy often reflects on that pivotal morning when Joe Rogan walked into his garage. It wasn't just about getting help with mom's medical bills, he explains during speaking engagements. It was about someone seeing potential where others might have just seen a kid tinkering with bikes. Joe didn't just write a check. He helped build a system that could help others long after those bills were paid. The program's impact on the healthcare system itself has been significant. Several major hospitals in Texas have now implemented Wheels of Change partnership programs, creating direct pathways for families to access both medical care and youth entrepreneurship opportunities. The model has proven so successful that health insurance companies have begun offering premium reductions for families who participate in community service programs modeled after Tommy's initiative. Joe continues to feature regular updates about the program on his podcast, but he's careful to keep the focus on the grassroots success stories. "You know what's amazing?" he often says to his guests. "Every time I think this program has reached its peak, some kid comes along with a new idea that takes it to another level. That's the power of giving young people the tools and trust they need to solve problems." The original garage has been preserved as part of a larger complex that now includes a state-of-the-art repair facility, classroom spaces, and a community center. Tommy's first workbench remains in its original spot, worn but proud, with his initial price list still visible through years of weathering. New students begin their training there, learning not just repair techniques but the values that built the program: determination, innovation, and community service. Maria's recovery became complete, and her role evolved from program inspiration to executive director of the initiative's healthcare advocacy division. She works directly with hospitals and insurance companies to create better pathways for families facing medical crises, ensuring that no parent has to watch their child shoulder adult burdens alone. The rolling classroom fleet has expanded to 20 vehicles, each serving different neighborhoods across Texas. The mobile units have become more than just repair shops on wheels. They're now full STEM education centers, offering classes in mechanics, electronics, and engineering, all built around the practical foundation of bicycle repair. Professional cyclists who mentor in the program often speak about how the experience changes their perspective on their sport. "We come in thinking we're going to teach these kids about bikes," one Tour de France veteran noted, "but we end up learning more about purpose and community than we ever expected." Local businesses that initially supported the program have evolved into full partners, creating apprenticeship programs and job opportunities for graduates of the Wheels of Change training program. The initiative's success has proven that community investment and youth potential yields returns that go far beyond financial metrics. Tommy, now in his 20s, splits his time between managing the program's national expansion and completing his engineering degree. His thesis project focuses on developing affordable, sustainable transportation solutions for underserved communities, a direct evolution of his early days fixing bikes in his family's garage. Joe Rogan's role has evolved as well. While he remains the program's most visible supporter, he's careful to keep the spotlight on the young people who continue to drive its growth. "My part in the story was simple," he often says. "I just recognized what was already there. A kid with the determination to help his mom and the skills to make it happen. Everything that's grown from that moment is a testament to what happens when we invest in young people's potential." The story of Wheels of Change continues to inspire new chapters across the country. Each community that adopts the program adds its own unique elements while maintaining the core principle that started it all. The belief that young people, given the right support and opportunities, can transform challenges into chances to build something greater than themselves. As Joe Rogan often reminds his listeners, this isn't just a story about fixing bikes or paying medical bills. It's about what happens when we trust young people to solve big problems. Tommy showed us that sometimes the best solutions come from the most unexpected places, like a kid in a garage who just wanted to help his mom. The program stands as a living testament to the power of individual initiative amplified by community support. What began as one boy's determination to help his mother has grown into a movement that continues to change lives, fix bikes, and prove that every skill, no matter how humble it might seem, has the potential to create meaningful change.